floor's yours.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mystical Carousel show tonight. We've got a fabulous night tonight with our special guest, Lindsay, who's my niece, and she's coming along today to talk to us all about herbalism. And we've got Willow, of course, and she's sitting there going to take it all in. She's going to love all this. So first thing I'm going to say is, if anybody wants to come in, interact with us and ask questions, I'm sure Lindsay will be quite happy to answer the questions for you. So first of all, Lindsay, I want you to tell us all about yourself and what prompted you to learn herbalism.
Okay, so obviously my name's Lindsay. I'm Lynn's niece, and I've only just qualified in the summer in a qualification called medical herbalism. And not a lot of people know that we exist, but I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But, you know, I was like anybody. As a kid, I was always outside. I was the type of kid that, you know, didn't plan the marriage to the prince. I wanted to make the mud pies and hang out with the boys and climb the garages, and just outdoors was always natural to me. And when I was doing school careers, they were like, oh, you know, you'd be really good at these office jobs, and I was like, that would destroy my soul if I was sat in an office. And I always, even then, I was always in the library looking at natural remedies and, you know, beauty products made from, I don't know, lemon juice to reduce my freckles, because under all this, I am a natural redhead with loads of freckles, and, you know, it wasn't fashionable back then. So I'd, you know, be putting lemon juice in my hair and, you know, using talc as foundation and stuff like that, because I don't know, I've always just thought like toxic chemicals aren't good for you. And then as I got older, I ended up in the corporate world, having my soul sucked out by those office jobs and corporate banking and things like that. And then I was poorly myself. I was diagnosed with ME when I was only young. I was only 20, 21, which was what sort of brought me back into working indoors, because I was in the RAF at the time, so I was always outside doing stuff.
Oh, what were you doing in the RAF? If you don't
say again, sorry.
What were you doing in the RAF? If you don't
so I was doing languages.
Oh, fantastic!
I can't say much more than that.
Noreen, baby.
Hello, Noreen.
Hi, Noreen. And then I had sort of issues with my own mental health, and they give you medications which aren't really good for you. You know, I know they're trying their best, but, you know, and seeing how things affected people because I then started working in mental health, and then I started training to be a peer support counsellor, and then from there I went into caring, and then I went back to an office job after some ill health, and I was just sat there, and I was like, I really, really need to learn about herbalism. Someone had told me about it in a dance class years ago, and I didn't know it was a career. I didn't know it was a qualification that you could get. I was still under the impression that, you know, like herbalism was just witchcraft and on the fringes of society, and it wasn't really a real thing, like many people still do. And I found out about this qualification, and I'd been sitting on it for a few years, and I kept going back to it, looking it up, and then this course came up, and it was online, and I was like, not ideal. I'd rather be in a classroom environment, but the nearest one was Lincoln, which is miles away. I'm up in the northwest. So this online course came up, and I was reading up about it, and it was like the real deal. You know, it's like 5 years part-time, but part-time isn't part-time. It's 20 to 30 hours a week. So it's quite
a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's how I ended up doing my qualification. And then I graduated just this summer. So in actual fact, I studied for 6 years in total, because I did the foundation course first. And then, you know, I sacrificed my heart, my soul, and my freedom for that course because I wanted it so much. And then here I am now, qualified.
I must admit, I'm actually sitting here memorised by your story, because I used to think things like that was just like what you would get on online courses, like you get these silly courses like on Indeed, no Indeed, Read and things like that. So to know that somebody's actually went as far as university to study
Yeah,
herbalism and things like that, congratulations to you. No, honestly,
thank
pat
you.
the back for you, my love,
Thank
because
you.
that's good that you've got that qualifications, because the more older that I'm actually getting, the more I'm actually thinking, wait, no, maybe there is more to herbalism and doing the herbalism road than actually, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Higher Richard than actually medication itself. And I'm actually thinking of that route myself as we speak, because I'm thinking
Richard, there's too much there's background noise there, love.
Oh, sorry, hold on.
it's not me.
Yeah, and that's perfect what you were saying, Willow. So that kind of brings me on to my next point. So, what is modern day medical herbalism? So, we tend to take the traditional folklore of the indigenous communities, the old midwives, the witchy folk, and we
Yeah,
marry that now with traditional science. So a qualified medical herbalist actually has GP level training in many of the same areas as a GP. We
yeah,
can diagnose. We have the legal right to primary diagnosis, and then we can prescribe as well. Now, the laws allow us to do that once we've had a consultation with people. So it's a perfect marrying of the old folklore and the up to date science.
yeah,
And there are very, very literal herbalists, say, for example, Simon Bone, who just constantly look for the science. Now,
yeah,
it is difficult because, with like a lot of things, herbs can't be patented.
yeah,
So it's not against big pharma, but there's nothing in it for them to do the research on herbs.
yeah,
There's a lot of research on extracts, and I brought along a textbook here, which is absolutely, it's heavy, and this is the scientific study of herbs. So
yeah.
you just see it's all about toxicology, pharmacology.
I would be very interested in that, Lindsay, to be honest with you,
Yeah,
because I'm 37-year-old. I've been on medication since I was 15-year-old. For for all different things,
yeah,
Lindsay, mostly for mental health.
yeah,
And I've always said, I'm now 37, nearly coming up now for 40, and I don't want to be on medication anymore. And I think the more that, excuse me, 2 minutes. I'm now coming up for 40, and I don't want to be at that stage of life anymore. I don't want to be, because, as I was saying to you, I was ready to say your mum, please, I do apologise. Your auntie,
yeah,
is that everybody knows I suffer from fibro and chronic pain. I'm getting sick of being a guinea pig,
yeah,
and I'm sick of getting doped up to the hilt as such, and then having the side effects. Like there, I'm coming off of gabapentin, and
right,
the withdrawals is absolutely shocking.
yeah,
And I don't want that. I would rather go total herb. Let's go the total natural way now, because at the end of the day, it's try or die, sort of thing. Um, and I think at the end of the day, I see more positives for natural than I see for medicines these days. And I've read more reviews for natural, than what I've read for medicines, because medicines you don't know what it's getting put in, whilst natural you're seeing it more and more, and I'm seeing more and more on TikTok as well about naturals. Like I've seen a TikTok recently that I didn't actually realise where many of the actual medicines, like your normal medicines, paracetamol and your ibuprofen, came from, and it's quite wacky. I'm just going to quickly read the comments. Noreen says, an old eccentric friend used to say there's a natural remedy for everything somewhere on this planet. Hi, Martin. I hope you're better, Martin. Noreen says, I used to go to a Chinese herbalist when I was younger. And Martin says, all of our modern meds are from the land. I'm getting more into this, more I need it as getting older. It's funny when you're getting older how much you actually turn to herbs.
Yeah. And I mean, a medical herbalist works with both. I was saying to my auntie before, it's not either or. And coming off your medications without support can be really dangerous. So I need to make sure that I say that up front. Don't just stop your meds. Work with your GP. Medical herbalists are trained in orthodox medications and herbs, and it's not necessarily an either or situation. But in many cases, we can, if you're adamant you want to stop them, it's always patient choice, and we can help you titrate those down safely. And then try herbs that might work. But it's like anything as well. A lot of people try various medications for things until they find one that works. We've got a huge herbal pharmacy available to us. So again, it's working with the herbalist to try and get the best remedies for you, because we have things like warming herbs, cooling herbs, and if we give you one that's too heating for your constitution, then that might just make it a little bit worse. So we review. And that's the good thing. A medical herbalist, the first consultation with you is usually up to 90 minutes. And we go through everything from birth to present. And that's not just your medical conditions, that's your social situation and maybe your mental health. And we're part counsellor as well. So we want to know everything about you, because we're going to go on this journey with you. It's a collaboration. And we're as invested in your health as you are.
Yeah.
So
Please don't think I was
really
laughing at you, Lindsay. I was laughing at Martin because on a light note, he says I'm part pirate, so rum usually works for the man.
That's what I was going to forget as well.
Hi, Jacqueline. And Martin says I refuse
Jacqueline.
to take
Well,
meds
if it's
until
spice rum, it's got herbs in it.
I refuse to take meds until it's impossible not to, but I believe there is always alternative plant herb or even breathing techniques.
Yeah.
So what would you get on a consultation?
Okay, so for a consultation, as I said, the first one is normally up to 90 minutes because we want to know everything about you. And the older you are, the more likely it is that you've got more medical history behind you. We want to know everything about that, because it's not just what's presenting now, it's everything behind it. We don't want to just do symptomatic treatment, which is just treat the symptoms that you've come for. We want to go back to the cause and see if we can rectify it at source. And in order to do that, we need to have all the information. So we'll take, I've brought a form here that I can just read through. So we've got your presenting complaint, which is what you come with today. Then we've got your past medical history, which includes any accidents, illnesses, childhood stuff, allergies. Your drug history, past and present, is really important to us. Your family history, because that obviously feeds into anything, especially things like autoimmune are usually hereditary. So we'd need to know that as well. And then we look at your social history. So do you exercise? Do you drink? Do you smoke? And it's not judgmental. It's just that we get a full picture. And what your daily diet is like as well. But then once we've got that information, then we do what we call it a systems check. So each bodily system we will ask you about. So we'll talk about your cardiovascular health, your heart, your circulation. We'll ask you about your respiratory system. Do you get a lot of coughs, a lot of colds in the winter? and it's just going through all the systems. And what's your digestion like? Herbalists are obsessed with your bowel habits. We want to know how often you poo. What does it look like? What does it smell like? We'll give you a Bristol stool chart and make you keep
Please
records.
tell me you don't have the same bowel chart as the carers.
Yeah. So if you're in caring, you'll know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with poo as well.
Yeah. But the more and more science comes out, the more we know herbalism is linked to the microbiome and the gut. So we want to know about that, and we'll ask uncomfortable questions. We want to know about your urinary system, your sleep, your joints, your muscles, your skin. If you're having periods and you're a woman that can have children, we want to know about that, pregnancies, everything, because it all forms a part of who you are as to what you present with. And the more information we've got, the better. So that's why your first consultation takes a lot. And it's also, that's the start of our relationship, because it's a therapeutic relationship where we both put into it. It's not a dictatorship. If we offer some medication and you think that's not quite right, or I don't want to take that, we can come up with alternatives. There are loads of different types of herbal medications that you can have. Herbalists mostly use tinctures, which are alcohol based, and teas. They're quite common as well.
Yeah.
I like the alcohol-based ones.
Yeah.
You and Martin both.
So both, yeah. We use tinctures a lot because they're very, very concentrated, and you can get a lot of medication into someone in just a 5 ml dose 3 times a day. So it doesn't even equate to one shot if you're going to talk about it in terms of alcohol. So it's not a lot of alcohol, or we can get a lot of herbs in there. So your average prescription would have somewhere in the region of 7 herbs in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because
more the merrier.
The more the merrier. Yeah. And there's something called synergy as well. So a herbalist doesn't just go, oh, we want that herb for that herb, that condition, and this herb for that condition. We're looking at the systems. So, most herbalists will start with, once again, what's your poo habits? What's your diet like? Because we want to know that your digestion and elimination and your liver health is fully functioning before we start down any kind of path of treatment. Because if it's not on point, you're not going to absorb the herbs as much anyway. So it'd just be, not as effective. So a lot of the time, herbalists will maybe consider doing some kind of gut and digestion work for a few weeks. And some liver support, just to make sure that your body is ready and receptive to receive these herbs.
Yeah. Noreen says, I think a lot of people just blindly take medication just because it only prescribed without asking questions. Martin said, but I have always used rum when I got bad hay fever. Oh, aye, it works for hay fever. Always worked, or I didn't care if I had it enough. Noreen says, I swear by it.
Don't blame me, Martin. Don't blame you.
Issues were clover oil.
Clove oil, yeah.
Yep.
And clove, I remembered the other day I've got clove in my mouthwash, and I had a really bad sore throat. As you can hear, I've probably got a bit of a cold. And I had a really bad sore throat, and I was like, oh, I remember that clove's supposed to be really good. So I had a little gargle with my mouthwash, and it just numbed it straight away. Clove is amazing. Yeah, and you forget. And because it's not all about, knowing all the pharmacology and knowing all the the top level stuff that I've needed to know to get in my course. Sometimes it's just as simple as putting a piece of potato on a splinter, knowing that it'll draw it out. It's everyday herbalism. Taking a bath with some nice oils because they smell nice and they calm you down, and the heat relaxes your muscles and gets you in a prime state for going to sleep and getting restful sleep, which is healing in itself. So
Do you know what, Martin? You are making me laugh tonight. Seriously, this is what I need tonight, and you have made me laugh all the way through the show. I've always had very hot chilies to purge my body.
yeah,
I don't even want to know what it. I want to ask you a question, but I don't want to ask the question at the same time because I don't really want to know.
okay.
I use good bacteria yogurts. I have been put off Greek yogurts for life, and this takes me back to years ago when I did caring. Noreen says it numbs and acts as an antiseptic. Do you know, guys? Between TikTok and my years of caring, it's amazing along the way where I've learned what things are used for, and sometimes I've been emotionally scarred with things would be not used
See, I
for.
always told you, cucumbers aren't just for salad.
And Greek yogurt shouldn't be put where they were.
A herbalist of mine who was a tutor told me that she had heard that there was a really fun game that you could play if you had vaginal thrush with Greek yogurt and a straw. and a willing partner to deposit it where it needed to be.
That's what put me
Look
off.
at this.
Well,
Look at
I
this.
made these instead. These are vaginal pessaries. It's a lot safer.
Like,
Yeah, I'll
this
get
is
one out
what
and show
put
you.
me, Lindsay. That's what put me off for life. A Greek yogurt was when one of my residents, God love her now, and I nearly pulled the carer across the bed because I was like, one minute I turned away just to get something, and I turned round and she'd done it, and I went, and she was like, "But that's what you do with it," and I'm like, "What?" I says, "Have you lost your marbles?" And she went, "Look," and she googled it, showed me, and I went, "Oh, come on, really?"
Yeah, people have used it because of the bacteria, because the vagina's got its own microbiome, and things like spermicides and even sperm itself can alter the pH, which is where you get things like bacterial vaginosis, or if you've got a sugar-heavy diet, you can get lots of thrush simply because of bacterial overgrowth. And some people have used Greek yogurt to balance that back out because it's got a lot of good cultures in there, which are similar to the ones that you want, the beneficial ones that are in the microbiome of the vagina. So she had a point.
Yeah. Show me.
It was just a shock. I've never seen that. It was just a.
See that lifted up.
So these are what I make. I've
Two
just
seconds,
made them.
then I'll make you big.
So these are calendula pessaries. These are for the vagina, and they're made by infusing the calendula, which you would know as pot marigold. You know that bright orange flower that grows quite prolifically in the garden. And I've infused those directly into pure cocoa butter. And if you want to look after your vaginal health, you can use these, and they melt really quickly. I'll just try and show you. So can you see that straight away?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So
cool.
as soon as they hit body temperature, they melt, which is really good because then they can they're really soothing and healing to the vaginal walls. So if you're having like problems with lots of infections and things like that, they can come in handy. Now, I have to be really clear here that the rules on discussing herbal treatments are quite specific in the UK.
Right.
So I can't say, unless I've had a consultation with you, that this herb will fix that problem. What I can say is traditionally calendula was used as an antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antifungal agent. And in the pessaries, calendula is.
What a conversation at this time.
But could you tell me? Because I haven't got a vagina.
Well, men can get thrush too. And they can pass it between their partners. So,
Oh, that's why it looks like a book. That's why it looks like a book.
Always
And
sterilise your
Ah,
equipment.
before MD gets the wrong idea here about me,
What, hot boiling water?
Martin
So,
says,
yeah.
well, chili kills all bacteria in the body. I was going to say, Martin, I'm dying to ask, but it's one of these ones that will kill me. If you say I'll almost stop laughing. But did it know chilies are hot, but did it know hurt your dingling?
Who put chili in the dingling?
They do, yeah.
No.
They
They
do.
put the chili in the
If
back,
you're cooking with chilies and you get the wee,
then yogurt puts a
it
good
sends
back
you through
in,
the
but they
fucking
have
roof.
done operations using chili on people.
No, I wouldn't say that you would use chili in
Concentrated.
delicate areas. Definitely not. And herbalists use cayenne
And it's the
rather
same
than
as
chili. So
that's
cayenne's really good on cuts. It helps stop bleeding. But I wouldn't put chili on cuts because you'd be screaming for the hills. So
that's why
it's
I'm
just
really
stings
important
like
that
hell.
you know your plants. They're not always interchangeable.
Martin says that's why I wash in key fluids. I don't want to know what key fluids is. I've heard enough tonight for me. We've got chilies, we've got other things.
Chilies. Talking about chilies. So chilies are what we call a diaphoretic because they heat up the body and they promote sweating, which is another way of elimination. So you may well notice that when you start sweating, that's the body eliminating toxins. And that's one thing that's really useful, especially this time of year, is things like cold and flu season. So if you're like me and you're a bit bunged up, you could add a bit of chili or a bit of ginger to your tea, and that the chili or cayenne as we use. Then I don't know if you know when you've had a hot Indian or spicy food, then your nose starts running. It's the same thing. So that's it heats up, it opens up those vessels, and then clears you out. So it's really quite good. I brought a little mix actually of herbs that I use for colds. So in here we've got elderflower.
Put her up a bit low.
Right, wait 2 seconds, and I will put Lindsay up.
So in here,
wait, no, I'll do it the other way because it's probably better that way. Right there.
Okay, so we've got some elderflower in there. We've got peppermint and we've got yarrow.
Looks like marijuana to me.
Those are fresh herbs that I've picked and dried myself. And then there's also a bit of echinacea in here, which is really good for helping to give the immune system a bit of a kick. Now, this is a really good basic tea remedy for if you're starting to get a cough or a cold. Rather than reaching for the paracetamol, which is going to suppress the immune system and suppress the inflammation, what the elderflower, peppermint, and yarrow does is it then brings your temperature up to promote that inflammation, promote that immune system response, which is what you want because then the body's going to heal itself a lot quicker. If you start taking things like paracetamol, ibuprofen, you're actually doing the opposite and you're going to prolong things in the long run. So as they say, wrap up warm and sweat it out really is its own herbal remedy. Get a hot bath, as long as you've not got other illnesses where, say, for example, if you've got POTS or some kind of dysautonomia where sweating's going to make you dizzy and pass out, obviously be safe. But if you can do that, then you're going to sweat out a cold and bacteria and viruses a lot quicker. So herbalism's about working with the body processes rather than suppressing them down. So that's a really nice tea that I make.
See, I love the good thing about see my partner. He got me witchy stuff that I've never actually used, and I've showed your Auntie Lynn and the rest of the guys, and it's got all different stuff. It's got mugwort, yarrow, what else has it got? It's got all different sort of stuff in it, and I've never used it. And it was Tim that told me that mugwort's good for stuff.
Mugwort is a big
Noreen
one of the
says that,
women's herbs as well. Not just
yeah,
women's herbs, but people take it as well because, linking it to mystical things and witchcraft,
yeah,
can be used to promote lucid dreaming. So it won't
yeah.
get you high, it won't, alter your consciousness. But when you go to sleep, you might find that it alters your dream states. And if you remember those in the morning, you might find that you have, some wacky dreams, or even some, prophetic dreams. I don't know.
I would
I've
hate
not
to
tried it.
Lindsay, I dream enough without having mental
Same,
dreams.
yeah, same.
Nori says
Oh,
garlic is a
isn't
good
it?
one. I absolutely love
Garlic
garlic.
garlic is
It's
Uh,
amazing.
not hard, isn't it?
Raw
Martin says,
crushed garlic.
no,
Yeah.
I eat chili, then eat yogurt. I don't touch anything else. I put thank Christ for that. Uh,
Well, you'll
Martin,
only do it once, Martin. You'll only do it once.
Martin was like, sorry, that was supposed to be
Jace fluid.
nothing for the memory then in the tea. And
The memory.
Memory.
And
So
looking
rosemary's a
into the
really
mushrooms,
good one.
you just stay away from the mushrooms after what you said about the chili.
Yeah,
You
no,
can get
rosemary is a
mushroom
really
coffee
good
now.
everyday herb for mental cognition because it sends the circulation up.
Yeah.
It's really good if you've got exams. Even just the smell of it, they found that can increase your concentration significantly.
Oh.
So you don't even have to, take it in, but it makes a lovely tea. I love rosemary tea. And that's something really simple that most people have in their kitchen. And a lot of people grow it by the front door because it's supposed to bring luck as well. So, yeah, I love rosemary. She's just so aromatic.
I love
And
this.
I've got
mushrooms.
dandelions by
Got
my
anything
front
about
door.
mushrooms?
Well, there are lots of different medicinal mushrooms. I get a lot of my information from Martin Powell and Christopher Hobbs, and they both have books that they wrote independently of each other called Medicinal Mushrooms. So I get a lot of my information from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's mushrooms that grow over here that we can use. A lot of people have heard of turkey tail. I think you're going to be posting my link up later, so you can go on my social media, and I did a how-to on how to distinguish turkey tail from false turkey tail. And again, I'm not allowed to make medicinal claims about things like mushrooms because the law prevents it. But there's lots of information out there if you search on. I always recommend Google Scholar, not just a Google search, Google Scholar, and then it'll take you to the scientific journals part of the internet. So you're reading studies that have been done by people, and you want to be looking at things like double-blind, placebo trials, randomized control trials. And that's things where the people doing the scientific studies don't know who's taken the real thing and not. So the gold standard is a randomized, controlled, double-blind study. That was a bit of a mouthful.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was.
But yeah, a lot of medicinal mushrooms, especially in Asia, have been used for a long time. Some alongside chemotherapy. And again, I'm hindered by the law as to what I can say about that. But go to Google Scholar, do your research, look at proper studies, and then decide for yourself if you think that's.
Have you got a page? Sorry, Lindsay, and I'll put it up just now for you.
Yeah, there's it's on Facebook. I have an Instagram as well, but I don't use that as much.
Give all the information.
Yeah. So
on
Facebook, it's just Lindsay, medical herbalist. Spell LYNDSAY. If you search for that, it should come up.
Right, I'll spell it right this time. As everybody knows, I spelled Lindsay wrong. Way wrong.
So yeah, and I'm taking a bit of a break because, as I said, studying for 6 years with ME has just battered me really. So I'm not setting up a clinic until the spring, but I am doing lots of informational videos on my webpage, my Facebook page at the moment, and I'll share interesting and verified information on herbs on there. So
there she is, I think.
Yeah, so I always check everything.
Waiting out to move everybody out the road. Oh, that's imagine.
It's made it worse.
Moving everybody at the road. It's me that's wanting.
It's you. It's you.
Yeah.
Oh, so lean out of the way.
So yeah, so I do a lot of videos on there about herbs and what they're used for, and I say the things that I can say on there about them, and I don't say the things I can't say. So sometimes we can sound like we're being really vague, and I want to scream at you that this is really useful for these conditions and situations, but I'm not allowed to. So it's quite confusing. But if we don't follow the law, then we'll get shut down, and they did try to regulate us quite some time ago. But with regulation then comes the power to just shut us down. So a lot of people at the National Institute of Medical Herbalists, which is one of our accrediting bodies, fought so hard for the right for herbalists to continue in the UK. And I'm so glad that they did. So I do have to be careful what I say and not fall foul of the laws. Yeah, I think that is me, Willow. Yeah. Yeah, that's
it.
Right, cool. I'll get that out just now. And what I'll do is I'll put that up in TikTok and all that for you on my TikTok and that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't answer questions about specific conditions as such, but has anybody got any generic questions that they'd like me to answer?
I've got MS. Just
What would you like to know? What would you like to know then, Richard?
What can you do for that?
You've got what, sorry?
MS.
MS. Okay, so again, I can't answer about specific conditions, but I have treated people in clinic with MS. There is a lot that we can do. I will say generically, and not for you in particular, because I have to answer it that way. A lot of MS patients find that lion's mane is really helpful because it helps prevent the degeneration of the myelin sheath. And MS is a degradation of the myelin sheath, which exposes the nerve fibers and then causes the problems that it does. It's not the only pathology of MS, but it's one of them. So you may find that could be helpful.
The link is in the description, guys. Well, in the comments, I've just put the page up, guys. If you could give that a follow, that would be amazing. Oh, Noreen's got a question for Lindsay.
Okay, so yeah, was that what is good for clearing your lungs of congestion? Okay, so there's some really, really good lung herbs that we can get in the UK, which have got an affinity for the respiratory system. So we're not talking about a specific medical condition, which is good. So I can always recommend things like raw garlic is a really good starter. So that's just one of the easy kitchen remedies that we can get. And then we have mullein, or mullein as people call it, verbascum. And that's the plant that you might see with really fuzzy leaves, a bit like lamb's ear. And that's got a really good affinity for like an expectorant quality, so it'll help cough things up. And then we have something else called elecampane, Inula helenium. That's also another good respiratory herb. And if you sort of need something expectorant as well, thyme from your kitchen. Thymus vulgaris, and they can make a really simple cup of tea with that. It's got lots of aromatic volatile oils in it. So if you're going to make a cup of tea with it, for example, you'd put some in a cup, pour boiling water over it, then cover it, because those volatile oils are what contain the healing properties. So you want those to fall back down into the tea. So I use one of these when I'm making my cups of tea. I don't know if you can see, it's got loads of perforations in it. Yeah, and it's got a lid. So my tea goes in there, that goes in the cup, the lid goes on, and it brews for a good 10-15 minutes. And it's really simple. You know, you can just go into your kitchen. Thyme is a really good one. Loads of raw garlic. You can get onion syrup, so that's a really easy one to make if you've got a lot of coughs and colds and things like that. Another one really is if if you tend to get a lot of coughs and colds and things over winter, there's a really good remedy called fire cider, and that's got loads. We were talking about chilies before. That's got loads of like hot, fiery ingredients in it. Now, it's not actually alcoholic. It's made usually with organic
boring.
cider vinegar. I know. I'm sorry.
We haven't got the chats up low.
And that's got things in it like garlic.
Yeah.
It's got the onions in it. It's got loads of chilies in it and ginger and horseradish. And you take a spoonful of that and you feel the whoosh. And what that's doing is, again, it's raising the body temperature to keep it high because the bacteria and the viruses can't function in those environments. So, you know, it's sometimes about preempting. If you're going to get lots of coughs and colds and you know, then you know, another good one is elderberry syrup. A lot of people have heard of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's antiviral. It's really good. And it's really soothing as well if you get a nice elderberry syrup. Now, these are things as well you can make at home. Because I think there's a product called Sambacol, and it's made and available for sale, but it's so expensive. When, you know, if you're that way inclined and you like to go foraging like me and my auntie here, you can go and get them for free. You know, in late summer when the elderflowers finish, those gorgeous creamy elderflowers, and then if you haven't picked them all and you've left plenty, then whatever's left will then turn to elderberries, and you can go and pick those and dry them or make your own elderberry syrup. It's really simple. There's loads of internet recipes for elderberry syrup.
Can I
Things
just
like spices like star anise and cinnamon and clove. There's a reason why they're all used at winter, because they're all really good for like colds and flu and just health in general.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you a question, Lindsay?
Yeah.
What about the ones that you get, like, say, on for witchy shops, like the herbs for witchy shops? Would they still be just as good as well for
Okay,
people that
so
obviously can't?
yeah, you need to ask your stockist if these are herbs for consumption or if they're
Right.
herbs for spell work, because the rules and regulations about health and hygiene and health and safety for different types of herbs are different.
Yeah.
You want if it's something that you're going to consume, you need to ask that question, and if they don't give you a good answer, then just
okay.
No, where's it go?
There you go.
Yeah, because like anything, you want to make sure of the quality of things you're putting into your body.
Yeah, no,
Again,
that's
I like to grow stuff. I like to forage stuff because I know the provenance. I know where it's come from. I know I've ID'd it correctly as well. Because a lot of the, shall we say, big online retailers, you don't know exactly what you're getting. How many times have you ordered something and it comes and it's like half the size, or it's
yeah,
not
no,
quite
I
as
totally,
described, which is
Different
okay if it's
labelling.
an item. If it's
yeah,
if you're then
I
putting
totally
that
get
stuff into your body, how much can you trust that seller?
And Noreen wants to know suggestions
for.
for inflammation.
Sorry, I didn't know if you had answered this question or no.
Autoimmune
Suggestions for
conditions.
inflammatory due to autoimmune
Okay,
condition.
so again, autoimmune is essentially you've got two immune systems. So you've got the one that you're born with, which is the innate system, and you've got the acquired. So the acquired system is where autoimmune tends to affect people, and it is very, very difficult. So I am going to be vague on this, I'm afraid, because that is something that would need a consultation. But in general, keeping down inflammation in the body is about, reducing the amount of toxic chemicals that you're putting into your body through things like cosmetics, household sprays, those room spray things, the ones that you plug in and things like that, chemical smells.
Yeah.
They're just not really good for you. And then looking at your diet to see, where you can make healthier swaps for fresh fruit and vegetables over processed foods. because that has a lot to do with it as well. There are herbs that can help for inflammation. So one that a lot of people will have heard of is turmeric.
Yeah.
Now, we know that turmeric on its own is good, but when you mix that with a bit of black pepper and a bit of good quality oil, so maybe coconut oil or something like that, that potentiates it, that makes it work better as well. But again, as I said, double check your sources, check your dosages, because and don't overtake it. People think more is better, and it's not always, because like anything, water's really good for you, for example, but if you drink liters and liters and liters, that's going to make you very, very poorly. And it's the same with herbs. There's optimal dosages for things, so you need to be really careful. But turmeric's a really good one. I'm just trying to think. Some of the herbs that we use are what are called restricted herbs as well, which means that only qualified herbalists are practiced to use them. There are quite a few that we could use to support autoimmune. My final exam was on autoimmune conditions. Just trying to think of another one that you might have come across. So we were talking earlier about how herbs were the precursors to modern medicines.
Yeah.
So you may well have heard of filipendula or willow bark, which are anti-inflammatory because of the salicylates.
Yeah.
And they are now, but they were the precursors for aspirin. Because I think it was, I always get these two mixed up, so don't quote me. I think it was meadow sweet, which used to be called spirea. So aspirea in.
Yeah, that's clever.
So, however, here's the clever thing about, right, I'm going to go on a rant now.
On you go.
So, this is where you get the reductionist science. So, science went, oh, right, okay, out of the 100,000 phytochemicals in this plant, that's the one we want. And we're going to take that out and put it in a pill, and we're going to sell it as aspirin. This is very generalized, okay? And aspirin, as we know, comes with issues. Yes, it does help with pain and inflammation, but we know that it can cause damage to the stomach lining. It can cause bleeding in the stomach and stomach ulcers. The clever thing about the plant is those other 99,000 phytochemicals are protective. They work together. So when you take, say, for example, willow bark or meadow sweet, you get the pain killing, but it's also protective of the stomach, so you're not going to get those other problems. And that is where the big difference between herbalism and standardized extracts or medical extracted chemicals are poles apart from each other, because that one chemical that they've taken out, they've ignored all of the others. And what do they all do as well? So that's my little rant.
On yourself, girl. On yourself.
Noreen, go on. Do you want to read it?
You read it. You read it.
Okay.
My throat
Noreen
starts to
says,
go.
you should always question medication.
In fact, you might as well read it for that side.
I found the hard way. I was prescribed a statin. I took it because the doctor prescribed it. Next thing, my bloods are showing pre-diabetic. Bit of a research and found certain brands are linked to pre-diabetes, but there are alternative brands. So even prescribed processed medication should be researched before taking.
And I encourage patients of medical herbalism and orthodox medications to question what you're taking and why. As you tend to get older, people's prescription lists get longer and longer and longer. And you ask someone, oh, do you know why the doctor's prescribed that to you? And they don't know. So not only do they not know really what they're taking other than what they order at the chemist, but they don't know what it does. They don't know what it's for. And a good herbalist, if you question them, would be able to tell you what the herbs are, how they work on the body, and what is the expected outcome. We also check for interactions with all the other drugs as well, because we have access to check interactions. And because we know as well...
Irene.
which process a herb should affect in the body. And I say should because, again, we're talking individuals. Everybody's individual and react differently to things. But we know roughly which processes in the body that should be affecting. And if there's any medications that people are taking that may contraindicate with those, then again, as is it Noreen was saying, there are other options. We have lots of different choices, and we'll always make the safest ones for you.
Definitely.
I was once prescribed modafinil for something, and it sent my blood pressure right up through the sky. And they took me off it, and then I had to go back every month for blood pressure testing until it came back down. I think it took about 4 months for it to come back down to normal.
Wow.
It sent it right up.
You sure it wasn't the nurse giving you the medication that made your blood pressure go up?
Pardon?
Sure it wasn't the nurse giving you that made your blood pressure go up?
Yeah, I mean, there is a phenomenon called white coat syndrome as well, which a lot of people have, which is as soon as you're in any kind of medical setting, your heart rate goes through the roof, as does your blood pressure. There's some people that can't get a normal blood pressure reading, even though their blood pressure is perfectly fine, because as soon as they're sat in that office, they just feel stressed.
Oh,
Yeah,
he wasn't stressed.
that's
It was
exactly with me.
something else.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, Irene. Welcome tonight.
Irene. Hugs,
Hope you're
Irene.
When I have a blood pressure taken, it's always when they go to the hospital and I've got to park outside because there's no disabled spots on the inside.
Oh,
And
jeez.
I've got to walk about, I don't know, 1,000 yards to the first reception. Then they send you around to the second reception to go and meet the nurses. And by the time you get around to the second reception, after another 250 metres, you're knackered. And you get there and they go, I'll take your blood pressure down. Which was, I'm like, no, can you wait a few minutes? Because I'd like to relax a little bit. Okay, then they take it. Oh, it's up a little bit. I wonder why.
Yeah,
I need
I
a
always
lie down. Give me
take
5
blood
minutes.
pressures as part of a consultation, and I don't normally do it till like we're near the end, and everyone's sat down. They've usually had a nice cup of herbal tea, and we've just been chatting because it's quite informal. It's a bit like this, I want to grill people, but not in a way that is going to stress them out or cause any, worry. And then towards the end, that's when I'll take the blood pressure and I'll check their oxygen levels and do any.
Mine's always at the start. Get in there, right? Give us your arm, blood pressure.
So Noreen says, I trust herbalists more simply because they have to be so much more cautious and well versed in all the implications of the herbs because they are held to a different standard. Docs just dish out medication off a list without much of an understanding of that particular drug. I'm just going off personal experience. Oh, bless you. No,
yeah, and we are held to
most doctors use Google.
There's the herbal paradox of herbs are rubbish, they don't work, and also herbs are very dangerous, don't take them. And it's like depending on what's happening as to which side of the line people fall on. So we are held to a higher standard because, say, for example, if someone's been going to the doctor for years and years and years and haven't got any better, and they come to a herbalist as the last line of defense, and they're very, very poorly by this point, and sometimes people are too far gone, and we can help a little bit, but we can't, maybe stop towards the end of life or something. The herbalist will get the stick for, being the last person to treat that patient before their end of life. Yeah. So we have to be really, really careful about what we're doing. And it's a sad situation, really, that people wait so long before coming to see us, because you don't necessarily have to have anything wrong to come and see a herbalist. Yeah. You could just want to have a better quality of life and just feel better about yourself and take control of your health. It doesn't have to be, that you're so poorly before you come and see us. My favourite patient is one that I discharge as soon as possible because I've got them back in balance. We've had a good chat about things that are going to go forwards. I don't want my patients coming and being on medications for years and years and years and years. I in an ideal world, I'd treat them for 12 weeks and they'd go skipping off into the sunset, happy and healthy. Next, please.
Do you know what, Lindsay? I've sat here and I listened to you tonight, right? And I'm probably more convinced by you than I am by my own doctor. Right? Because I sit here and I listen to you and I think to myself, why can you not be my doctor? Because I sit here and I listen to how genuine you are. You know your herbs with you're at the back of your hand, and you're so honest and open, and you're just say it as you see it. Like your Auntie Lynn, right? I love your Auntie Lynn to bits. I do.
We all love Auntie Lynn. We all love Auntie Lynn.
Or we Auntie Lynn. And I've really, really enjoyed the show, and I could have you back next week if I wanted. You're probably like, hell fucking no, I'm not coming down every week for this. You're driving me crazy, woman.
Well, I'm setting up in spring, so what I might do is, if you have me back, I could come back and do like a well-being for spring chat.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. That would be brilliant, Lindsay, because I actually have sat here.
Yeah,
and I've listened to you, and I honestly have sat here and really, really enjoyed listening to you. And you know when I really enjoy listening to somebody, because I sit really, really quiet, and folk when I sit really quiet, folk think there's something wrong with Willow. She's awful quiet.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm taking it in.
I can't say I didn't think that.
There you, cheeky.
Well, it's been a real pleasure. I've really enjoyed talking to you about herbalism, and I think my Auntie Lynn's got all my information, so you can post that up.
I definitely.
Coming over.
Definitely. Here's a question for you, right? I don't know if it's outside your lines or that. It's just you can tell me F off, right? Everybody generally does when I ask this question, right? As a herbalist, right? Do you can say aye or nay, you don't need to even get into the subject, but do you deal with the medical cannabis on?
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to in the UK because it's illegal, but I can recommend a herbalist in Canada and
No. I'm just asking if in the UK, because I know there's a bit in the UK that actually does. It's called, what is it? Relief or something.
There's a few different companies that are set up now.
Relief.
And CBD, which is cannabis without the THC, without the psychoactive effects, is actually legal. And a lot of people do find relief from it.
Because I don't know if herbalists actually touched on that side, or if it was against.
Yeah, anything with THC in it, or anything that's psychoactive, so anything that's illegal, it is still illegal for us as herbalists.
Yeah.
But there's
I hope you don't mind me asking that, Lindsay.
Yeah, no. And I would welcome it to become part of the herbalist's chest.
Yeah.
However, can I just say there are much better herbs out there?
Yeah. No, it was just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Noreen says, my late partner.
What are those herbs then?
What?
What are the herbs that are much better than cannabis then, Lindsay?
So some of the herbs that we've talked about for inflammation and things like that. So like your garlic, for example, your onions, your turmeric, your filipendula, meadow sweet to you, willow bark, things like that, turmeric.
Is willow bark the one you get paracetamol from?
That's paracetamol is different. You're thinking aspirin, which is the meadow sweet or the willow bark. I'm getting really tired now because I have ME. So I'm just, if I'm babbling or not quite making sense, I'm kind of at the end of my window, I'm afraid.
Can we just ask one more question then? Is that okay? Yeah. I'm going to read what Noreen said.
Right, we'll do one more question and then we'll call it time because Lindsay's getting tired, guys.
Yeah. So Noreen says, my late partner had terminal cancer at the same time his brother had exactly the same type of cancer. My partner took herbal infusions and he was well up until the end. His brother, who had chemical treatment, suffered. So although he couldn't be cured at the stage he was diagnosed, it certainly gave him a better quality of life. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is quite regularly. I wrote a post on my book on my Facebook about that the other day, saying that we can't cure all. Some things aren't incurable, but we can help slow the progression of things, and we can help symptoms and manage the quality of life much better. In the UK, we're not allowed to say that we can treat cancer, and we're not allowed to treat cancer. But we can support cancer treatment and try and help reduce some of the symptoms, such as nausea and things like that.
Definitely. Right, guys, we're going to roll up here now because Lindsay's tired. But I want to say thank you so much, Lindsay.
The link's
you so much,
in the comments. The link's there.
The link's there, guys. If you want to go and check Lindsay out, guys, please go and support this lady. Thank you very much to Lynn Baby for doing this show tonight. Thank you for this guy for appearing.
Lovely.
Thank you for all your questions and thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. You are more than welcome to come back anytime, Lindsay. I would have you back anytime. So sorry, guys. Got to go. Perhaps you could do another show in this. We will, my darling, in spring. But tomorrow night, guys, we will be talking about Hingy Jing. What are we talking about tomorrow night? Different types of hauntings.
Oh yeah.
I forgot.
Types of what?
Different types of hauntings.
Hauntings. Oh right, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't say different types of jugs.
No, I didn't think you said that. It sounded like quantums of hauntings. Doesn't matter. It's just the Scottish accent, So
You like my Scottish accent, Elaine, arsehole. Noreen says my partner took.
Nice to meet you too, Lois.
Oh, Noreen. I'll get you a cuddle, my love. But definitely, guys, we will catch up with you tomorrow night. Night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.